Appreciate it. Mark Green, he is also running for the state senate. Mark.
First, let me thank everybody for coming out today and giving us this opportunity to introduce ourselves to you. I also want to thank the organizers of the event for putting this together. You know, one of the great privileges I've had in my life is to serve as the Special Forces flight surgeon for the 160th SOAR. And one of the jobs I got, one of the proud opportunities for me was to be the first doctor into Baghdad. I went in with a SEAL team, and we went into Baghdad. And my first job when I got into Baghdad was to find an ambulance for us to take our patients around if we had any. And so it's all according to the Geneva Convention, but we went to borrow a vehicle. And I came across this Nissan truck that was sitting there, and I began to hotwire the truck. Now, has anybody here ever stolen a car? Anybody ever stolen a car? Well, right as I'm hotwiring this truck to use as an ambulance, this bearded guy grabs me, he spins me around, and I'm an ex-Army Ranger. I got to tell you, I was a little bit afraid at that moment. But his English was very good, and he told me the agency of the federal government that he worked for, and he said, "Buddy, I've already stolen this truck. This is my truck." So I'm walking away pretty disappointed in myself, and he goes, "Hey man," I guess he felt sorry for me. He said, "There's a Nissan Maxima just down on the end of the runway, and you can use it. It's got the keys in the ignition." So I hoofed it down to the end of the runway there at Baghdad International, and there it was, a Nissan Maxima. I hop in, I hit the ignition, nothing happens. I pop the hood, and somebody had stolen the battery. So I walk back to the area where we're gathering, and I see this Nissan truck that belonged to the agency guy, and he was nowhere to be found. And I thought, well, a Nissan battery in a truck, a Nissan car. I look left, I look right, I grab his battery, and I take it off to the Maxima. Sure enough, it fired it right up. Well, the story doesn't end there. Several months later, I'm in the Baghdad PX, and guess who walks in? The bearded agency guy. He sees me, he makes a beeline right toward me. He says, "Hey buddy, did you take my battery that night we came into Baghdad?" And I honestly said, "Yes, I did. I took your battery." He said, "No worries, man. I had taken it out of that Nissan Maxima I sent you down to go get." Well, you know, serving in our Army has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. I went to West Point. I actually grew up in South Mississippi, raised on a dirt road, not very far from Congressman Blackburn. In fact, our high schools used to play football together. I went to West Point and got a degree in economics, business, and then I went into the Rangers and served our Army for about 9 years as an infantryman. During that time, I was actually in command of an infantry company in the 82nd Airborne Division when my dad's esophagus ruptured, and a surgeon saved my father's life. And so I went to the Army and I said, "Hey, I want to be a doctor." And the Army said yes and sent me to medical school. I did 4 years of medical school and then 3 years of an ER residency. And in that third year is when the Special Operations community called me and said, "Hey, we hear about an Army Ranger who's turned into a doctor. Will you come to this dark side of the force?" And so I did, and I went into Special Operations. In 2006, I got out of the Army. I started a company right here in Montgomery County. That was in the past 3 years, that company has grown 10,000%. We've created 4 million jobs right here, $4 million in jobs, and right here in Montgomery County with our company. Our company has been blessed so well, we started a foundation, a missions foundation last year. We have sent doctors to Ethiopia, and right now we have a team from our foundation in Cambodia, right this minute, fighting the slave trade. We're in a clinic on the border of Cambodia and Thailand trying to prevent those young women from being captured and turned into slaves. We also run a free clinic in Clarksville called the Manna Cafe. We have a clinic there on Thursdays. I just believe that to him who's been given much, much will be expected. And that's why I want to serve as your state senator. I want to serve this community and fight for this community. I was prepared to give my life for your freedom, and I am prepared to go to Nashville and fight for what you deserve. You know, our Our Republican-led House, our Republican-led Senate, and our Republican governor have done some great things in the past few years for the state of Tennessee. They've cut the budget each year. They've put $50 million each year in the rainy day fund. They've cut taxes every year they've been in there. They've cut the inheritance tax out. They've done a great job. But our community has suffered a little bit. We were fourth in the state for road dollars. We're now 36th in the state for road dollars in last year. And we're the ninth fastest growing city in America, and the best we can get from Nashville is 36th in the state for road dollars. That's inappropriate. That's why you have the problems with the roads. And just think of all the jobs we lost when we went from 4th to 36 in road dollars. It's unacceptable. And really, this election is about jobs and real ideas to create jobs. Not promises, but real ideas. And I have some ideas. Number one, we can exempt the hall tax for anybody who invests in Tennessee. If you take your money and invest it in a Tennessee company that hires Tennesseans, you should not pay hall tax on that money. That'll increase the investment in our own companies, the small businesses that are right here paying dividends, and it'll increase jobs in our community. Another idea I have is to take care of our veterans by giving them a grant to start a small business. If you've retired from the Army, you have a $50,000 impact on your community wherever you retire in year one. A small grant to a veteran to start a business, to create jobs in that community is a real idea that will work, and there's a return on investment in year one. Another idea is partnerships with Austin Peay. I've already met with the president and Tristan, the provost, and they are on board with healthcare IT companies coming in here and partnering to create high-paying, long-term jobs for our community. And those are the kinds of ideas that will produce jobs in our community. I'm a small businessman. I've created jobs. I've done it. We are giving back to the community because of that success. I'm a physician. I understand how to keep the government out of the patient-physician relationship. And I have some great ideas on decreasing the cost of TennCare. You can see those on our website, Mark Green for Tennessee. I've actually had those ideas published in USA Today, and a national level economist read it and said, this is the best plan for health care. Not Obamacare, Mark Green Care. And you can read about it on our webpage. I'm also a veteran. I've looked at my family and I've looked at my children in the eye and said goodbye to them and gone to war, not knowing whether I was coming home or would ever see them again. Let me be very clear, there is no one running who will love on our soldiers and veterans more than I will. I will take care of them. They are my brothers in arms. I love every one of them. Thank you to my wife for coming today and the team that's here for us. I appreciate y'all coming out. Thanks for having us here. God bless every one of you. God bless the great state of Tennessee, and God bless America.